I'm excited. I'm really excited. Ladies and gentlemen, dear participants, I'm Georg Haidu, Conference Chair and Director of the Ligeti Center. Welcome to the 51st edition of the International Computer Music Conference, and all good things come in threes, the third one on German soil. My late teacher and friend, the composer and computer music pioneer Clarence Barlow, was the one who brought the first German edition of the ICMC to Cologne in 1988. An edition in which I participated as a student and helping hand. Clarence would have turned 80 recently. We commemorate his legacy with the performance of Im Januar am Nil. We are also delighted to welcome another pioneering figure of computer music, James, also called Andy Moorer, who recently celebrated his 80th birthday and will present his work on 2 occasions. We're deeply honored that John Chowning has joined us again from California. On behalf of George Ligeti, Chowning and Moorer were involved in the planning of what would have been the first German computer music center in the 1970s, a center that would bring the spirit of the Stanford Artificial Intelligence Laboratory to Germany. Ligeti's idea was finally realized on occasion of the 100th birthday in 2023 in form of the Ligeti Center, whose name also stands for Laboratories for Innovation and General Audience Edification through the translation of ideas. The conference motto thus is, with slight modification, innovation, translation, participation, emphasizing the idea that art and research need to reach the minds and hearts of the public to stay relevant. We therefore revived the concept of the ICMC, offering a translation format for larger audiences. Our keynotes address questions of translation, exemplified in the work of Robert Henke, also co-founder of Ableton, the company behind Ableton Live. With Ralph Hübner's keynote, we're adding a new facet to the ICMC, namely artistic research. Artistic research is a growing field combining art and research, reframing how we understand both human endeavors and their mutual interdependence. Music can be so much. Means an interface of human expression, subject of investigation and mediation, as well as data model for representing sound and musical structure. But with its profound impact on our mind and mood, it can also be used to improve individual and societal well-being. The cognitive psychologist Psyche Louis will shed light on this in her keynote, which unfortunately she cannot deliver in person. A special panel on this theme, music, technology, and the mind, will follow right after. As you will see in the program, there will be an abundance of events, starting with this opening concert and ending with a farewell at the Stellwerk on Saturday. We're particularly pleased to offer an excursion to Lübeck, once the capital of the Hanseatic League, and I'd like to thank my colleague Nicola Hein from the Lübeck Academy of Music for making this possible. This is also a great opportunity to express, as conference chair, my gratitude to a long list of people and institutions who have contributed to the realization of the ICMC 2026. Foremost, the chairs and co-chairs, the Ligeti Center's production team, the Elbphilharmonie, Ensemble Resonanz, or soloists, the Ensemble 404, the Speak Ensemble, the technical teams, the leadership of the universities involved, the board of the ICMA, the countless reviewers for the paper, music, installation, workshop, and so forth, transmissions, the district of Harburg, the Hamburg Authority for Science, Research, and Equality, the Hamburg Authority for Culture and Media, and our sponsors. And my thanks also go out to you, dear audience, for demonstrating by your presence and your conference contributions how important our topic is in this new era of artificial intelligence and autonomous systems. Enjoy the concert and the conference. And now I'd like to call to the stage my colleague, Professor Jan-Philipp Spick, President of the Hamburg University of Music and Drama. Jan-Philipp, please.
Yeah, thank you very much also from me for coming tonight, and thanks for all Georg has organized for this conference and for the Ligeti Center and everything in multimedia composition for the last decades. I want to say this in the beginning of my short greeting address today. It's both a pleasure and a privilege to welcome you this evening on behalf of our school and together with our cooperation partners to the opening concert of the International Computer Music Conference in Hamburg. As president of the Hamburg University of Music and Drama, I'm especially proud that our institutions are hosting this remarkable gathering of artists, composers, researchers, and innovators from around the world. The International Computer Music Conference represents a field that has become one of the most dynamic and influential areas of contemporary artistic practice. Computer music is no longer simply a specialized discipline at the intersection of music and technology. It has become a central laboratory for the future of the arts. Here, artistic creativity and scientific inquiry meet in uniquely productive ways. New technologies do not replace artistic imagination, they expand it. They enable new forms of listening, new modes of performance, and entirely new aesthetic experiences. What makes this development particularly exciting is that it requires collaboration across disciplines and institutions. And this spirit of collaboration is precisely what has made the success of the Ligeti Center possible. The establishment and continued development of the center is the result of an extraordinary partnership led by the Hamburg University of Music and Drama together with the Hamburg University of Technology, the Hamburg University of Applied Sciences, and the University Medical Center. And I'm very happy that all the presidents and deans of these three schools are here tonight. Andreas Timgiel, who will talk to you in a minute, Ute Lorenz from the Hamburg University of Applied Science, and Blanche Schwapach-Pignantaro is the dean of the University Medical Center. And this present also shows that the Ligeti Center is not a small institution, but it's really in the mind of the institutions as a whole. And it's quite exceptional and perhaps unique in this form that a University of Music and Drama joins forces with a technical university, a University of Applied Sciences, and a University Medical Center in order to shape the future of music and technology together. Following an initial 5-year funding period at the Hamburg University of Music and Drama, these institutions together succeeded in securing a second major 5-year phase of highly competitive third-party funding as a consortium project. This achievement demonstrates the innovative strength of Hamburg's academic and artistic landscape, and it shows what becomes possible when music, engineering, digital technology, and science work together with a shared vision. Today, the Ligeti Center is already perceived internationally as a beacon for music and technology, artistic research, and innovation. The current funding phase also reflects a broader strategic understanding that the major cultural and technological questions of the future can only be addressed through durable partnerships and long-term institutional cooperation. This gives Hamburg a truly historic opportunity. We now have the chance to secure and further develop a unique international profile, one that combines artistic excellence, technological innovation, and interdisciplinary research in a way few places can offer. Such structures do not only benefit academia and the arts, they strengthen the cultural and intellectual future of a city as a whole and open long-term perspectives whose potential reaches far beyond the duration of any individual funding period. For this, we owe thanks to many people whose commitment and vision have brought us here. I already thanked Georg Haidu, director of the Ligeti Center and chair of this conference. And I also want to thank Christine Preuschel from the Transfer Office as organizational chair, along with all colleagues, partners, and supporters, especially our partners at the Technical University, where most of the conference will take place, who have contributed to this success. And I wish all of you an inspiring conference, stimulating conversations, and a wonderful concert with the outstanding Ensemble Resonanz, an ensemble that I deeply admire and that has always been open to artistic curiosity and new musical ventures. Thank you very much.
Now I'm calling to the stage Andreas Tim Giel, Professor Andreas Tim Giel, the president of the Hamburg University of Technology. Andreas, please.
Yeah, Georg, many thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, dear colleagues and friends, it's a great pleasure to welcome you to the opening concert of the International Computer Music Conference 2026 here in Hamburg at the Elbphilharmonie. I would never expected that I would be here standing in front of you as a president of a technical university. But that's something very nice of the cooperation which we have with all the partners. And I can also express all my thanks, Jan Philipp, Georg Haidu, Thorsten Kern from our university, everyone organizing it. It's a pleasure, and we see how much we have to do together. And that's what we see in the future lecture we had last week, but also today. And I'm inspired by Jan Philipp's talk, so I will change a little from my talk here. But on behalf of my university, Hamburg University of Technology, I would like to say how much and delighted we are to be part of this host team of the ICMC 2026, together with Hamburg University of Music and Drama, the Hamburg University of Applied Science, the Hamburg University Hospital, and the Ligeti Center. We are proud that over the coming days, part of this extraordinary conference will also take place on and around our campus in Harburg, which is in the south of Hamburg. And we are glad to open our doors to a format that goes far beyond any conventional academic conference for an engineering university. A conference with concerts, installation, experiments, discussion, and encounters. And I already just passed by to get my suit from the office and saw there's many things happening in the building. And you're all probably invited to see what's happening over the next days in the different locations in Harburg. For us as engineers, this is much more than an inspiring artistic event. At Hamburg University of Technology, our guiding principle is technology for humanity. Technology must not be developed in isolation. It must be in dialogues with society. It needs to be transferred. It needs to be a dialogue with culture, the arts, and the people for whom it is created in the end. And now, next page. Hamburg University of Hamburg is not only part of this host team of the conference, we are also partner in the Ligeti Center, and that's what we are very proud to be part of. Here, artistic research, engineering, health science, and technology meet for humanity. We want to do or shape the world to a better world. For engineers, artistic research opens new sources and inspiration and new ways of communication. That's what we are short of typically. Typically, we just take a problem, solve the problem, and then that's done. But we need to interact with society. And artists are demanding partners in the best sense. They take existing technology, repurpose them creatively, extend them beyond their limited intended limits, ask us to do more, and reveal possibilities we might otherwise never have seen. And now from Jan Philipp's discussion, we really have to see what AI will have as an impact not only on engineering technology, not only on how we educate engineers, but also how culture and arts are affected. And I believe the Ligeti Center might be in the future, or is in the future, a source, a location where we have to discuss this much more. And that is why this Ligeti Center is so important. It stands for a broader understanding of transfer, not as a one-way movement of getting ideas from university and engineering universities to industry and markets, but it's more a dialogue. It's an open dialogue between culture, society, science, and technology, a dialogue which creates meaning, participation, and new forms of understanding, and a new way of addressing society as well. And there's another dimension, the challenges of the present and future, the real challenge which we have, can only be met if people work together across nations, national borders, religions, genders, and the different ways of seeing the world. That's what we have to keep and prevent. Science and art are probably one, besides of sports maybe, the most powerful bridges for the intercultural understanding. They create shared spaces of experience, understanding, and cooperation, and peace. And this also makes the Ligeti Center an important element in the development of Hamburg, Harburg, and the tech city. In the south of our city, we want to bring science closer to society and create a value in broad and balanced sense. Institutions like the Ligeti Center need long-term perspective, trust and continuity, and that's what we stand for in as well, together with the Hamburg University of of Music and Drama. We create together international visibility and show how powerful Hamburg can be as a city of science, culture, and innovation. ICMC 2026 brings together technology and creativity, AI, research and performance, precision and imagination. It reminds us that the future of technology will not be shaped by engineers alone, but a particular kind of curiosity that gives creativity, innovation, inspiration, and one that has to courage the question, to question familiar patterns, look at technology in a different way, and open up possibilities not visible at first sight and not on first sight for engineers. This is often where surprising discoveries and new insights begin. And with this, I wish all participants an inspiring conference. I'm a bit jealous that I can't join all the time. I wish you many unexpected encounters and a wonderful opening concert. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much, Andreas Timgiel. Now I'm calling to the stage Klaus van Lepel. He is the Director of Research at the Hamburg Authority of Science, Research, and Quality. Please.
Thank you very much, George. Dear Professor Hagen, dear professors, dear presidents and deans of the Hamburg University, dear Professor Aidu, dear Ligeti team, distinguished guests of the ICMC. I extend a very warm welcome to you on behalf of the Hamburg Senate, our regional government. It is a great pleasure for us to welcome you as guests in our city. For centuries, trade, mergence, and the port have shaped the city. But today, however, Hamburg also presents itself as a vibrant metropolis of science, art, and music. Nothing could illustrate that better than the venue where we are gathered today, the Elbphilharmonie. Once a warehouse for storing coffee, today it is one of the leading concert halls in the world, boosting breathtaking acoustics and architecture. The ICMC 2026 is a joint venture of 4 Hamburg universities, as we have heard, and their jointly funded transdisciplinary Ligeti Center. In a unique way, this transdisciplinary center combines art, science, technology, health, an innovative research project, workshops and performances, and actively seeks dialogue and engagement with our urban community. It challenges us, and indeed, occasionally, it overwhelms us. But innovation only arises at the interface between disciplines. Trans- and interdisciplinary research have a long scientific tradition in Hamburg, as demonstrated, for example, by our clusters of excellence in climate research, CLICS. A cluster where we span a wide range from climate modeling, providing data for the IPCC report, as well as addressing climate adaptation questions from a sociological and political science perspective. Or our excellence cluster understanding written artifacts, where we use our world-class physical radiation sources in order to investigate the materiality of very old manuscripts, and thus can provide entirely new dimensions for interpreting the texts. The Ligeti Center also joins in this lineup of trans- and interdisciplinary beacons of excellence and innovation here in Hamburg. The history of computer music is, in many respects, the history of impossible ideas that suddenly became commonplace. In the past, generating a single synthetic tone required computer system that filled an entire room. Today, a laptop is enough to create a complete sound universe. The challenge lies in the clash between precision and imagination. Here, mathematics learn to dance, physics develop a sense of rhythm, artificial intelligence discover atmosphere, and even data occasionally becomes emotional. You ask questions that no machine can fully answer. What makes a sound meaningful? Why does one texture soothe us while another unsettles us? Can an algorithm improvise? Can a code express longing? Through these boundary-crossing questions, the Ligeti Center, with its research and outreach activities, provides important impetus for the innovation capacity and the future of our city. Finally, I would like to thank you all, the organizers, who thrive on caffeine and optimism during the last week organizing this conference, the students who will give their first presentation during this week, the artists who transform abstract systems into emotional experiences, and the audience who are ready to encounter the unknown with open ears and senses. With this in mind, I wish you all inspire our city in the coming weeks, and let yourself be inspired by Hamburg and its fascination. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Klaus von Lepel. And now I'd like to invite our guest of honor, Professor Emeritus John Chowning. It's an honor to have you, and it's also something that really deeply touches me, that you were also involved in the first plannings of establishing a computer music center in Hamburg. It's a great pleasure to have you here. You came out directly from California, so I'm very curious about your statements. Thank you.
Thank you. So, I'm from CARMA. That is the Stanford Center for Computer Research and Music and Acoustics, CCRMA, which we refer to as CARMA, where I'm known as the old guy. And at 91 years, I'm really happy to be here. In fact, At 91 years, I'm happy to be anywhere. So I'm a musician. I was well trained, who loves to compose using computers. The roots of my interest in electroacoustic music are not far from here, in Cologne. Stockhausen's Conductor, which I heard while studying with Nadia Boulanger in Paris in 1961, inspired my interest in spatialization and my search for the distance cue in 4-channel projection, which led me to discover FM synthesis. It's a story known to many of you, whom I know from older generations, but perhaps too few from our younger colleagues. This week, during our conference, my wish is that we get to know one another, you, the young generation. Among the keynote speakers at the conference, there are three from the older generations whom I know well. Robert Henke, a visionary composer and technologist, is a close friend who spent 3 months with us at Karma, sharing with our students and staff his vision toward toolmaking, art and technology, and his refined embrace of the music of now, the techno culture with its compelling rhythms. He ended his stay with a major sellout concert in San Francisco. His keynote is tomorrow. Don't miss it. Psyche Louis is a professor at Northeastern University where she directs the music, imaging, and neural dynamics lab. She is a superb researcher whom I know from her association with David Wessel at SINMAT at the University of California, Berkeley. Psyche is a performing violinist and a neuroscientist who conducted pioneering research into the Boland-Pierce scale, extending her work more broadly to alternative tuning systems beyond our traditional Western tonal system and how they are perceived. This is a new frontier for composers, I believe, given the super-fast computing available to us today. Synthesized music can instantaneously adapt to live performers in real time. James Andy Moore, whom I have known since 1968, when he was hired by John McCarthy as systems programmer manager for the Stanford Artificial Intelligence Laboratory, SAIL. He soon joined my computer music project and was one of the founding directors when CCRMA was formally formed in 1964 as a center in the department in the School of Humanities and Sciences. Don't miss the video performance of The Man in the Mangroves Counts to Sleep on the excursion to Lübeck on Friday, to which Andy composed the music. In his keynote address, he will explain in detail the rich signal processing techniques he developed to render the poem in the voice of a computer. I look forward to meeting for the first time the fourth keynote speaker, Falk Hubner, whose expansive professional activities range from jazz performer to experimental music, theater composer, teacher, author, humbling indeed. On Wednesday afternoon, there will be a special tribute session panel to Clarence Barlow, who left us 3 years ago He is among the most radical, influential composers and teachers in contemporary music. Finally, a conference of this complexity we have in the following days does not happen without a central source of energy, vision, tenacity, and above all, musical impulse. In 1973, Ligeti, after being introduced to computer music at Karma while teaching for 5 months at Stanford, returned to Hamburg, where he attempted to institute a computer music center. His dream was thwarted by intercity politics. Then 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, George Hajdu, wanting to realize Ligeti's failed dream, succeeded with the official opening of the Ligeti Center in May 2023. And here we are. So I ask that you join me in acknowledging composer, music theorist, Herr Dr. Professor George Hajdu, better known as George, for this 2026 ICMC. George.
So much. Thank you so much. Thank you, John. Very touching. I hope you will all have a chance to discuss the past and the future with John Chowning, because he's going to be around until Saturday. And I have a few words to say.
Yeah, okay. I was just...
Okay. John is still finishing his
So
statement.
Let's
Okay.
enjoy... Well, George, come back. Let's enjoy this special concert, beginning with Alexander Schubert's Scanners and the world premiere of Nico Brady's Ricochet. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. John, you recently won a Grammy Award, right?
A Grammy Award that I never sought for something that I discovered 59 years ago.
So you're a professional, more than me, for public performances and punchlines.
And
The punchlines.
punchline.
Thank you. Thank you very much. One last statement, or two, as a matter of fact. We will offer more information about the logistics of this conference right after this concert, so stay put. And on Monday at 3:30, before Robert Hanke's keynote. If you are an ICMC participant, please remain seated after the concert. Otherwise, we're wishing you a nice evening and we are looking forward to seeing you again soon. And one more thing. The intermission is after the fourth piece, not the third one, as stated in the program. Thank you very much.
you.